incentives are structured such as to build the ecosystem as quickly and as decentralized manner as possible, such that the payouts are very much higher at the beginning than later on. And what that also should do, as we're doing a utility fork, and a lot of people will end up with a Spark token that maybe are only there to take the value from it, rather than to build the ecosystem, rather than to use it, rather than participate. So what that will do is basically it moves the rewards away from those people that sell it at early days to people that want to participate, to people that want to hold the token.
Welcome to the DeFi Standard, and this is Mickey B. Fresh. That interview was with Brad Kimes and myself in November of 2020, which is pre-snapshot, which is nearly 2 years ago. And the reason why I'm pointing that out is that Flare's message has maintained the same from day one, pre-snapshot. Those who participate will be massively rewarded, and those rewards will come from those who do not participate. And we're going to run through in this video a deeper dive into the different products that Flare's building, the utility of the FLR token. We're going to run through Spark dependent applications, which is now called FLR, and we're going to break that all down. It's going to be a deeper dive and a longer video, but there's a lot of good information in here that I think will take away to understand why FLR is like a fourth generation token. And it has these superpowers to it that allow it to do things that other native L1 tokens can't do. So for example, and this is going to be repeated throughout the video, is the ability to earn native yield by delegating to the FTSO and simultaneously being able to utilize the FLR token as collateral and in other dApps, as well as participate in governance, and as well as, if the proposal goes through, earning the distribution monthly. That is a very powerful 4 different things right there. Now, on top of that, you could even use the yield that you earn from the FTSO or the distribution possibly to fund and crowdfund projects coming into the ecosystem. And let's dive right into it of what are the 3 different products that Flare is building. Now, this is the Flare team. There will be others who will be building as well. Okay, so we're going to run through Flare's 3 core products that they are building that are all using FLR in these products. These are in addition to the native EVM L1 blockchain. So when Flare launches, it will be a technologically advanced cross-chain interoperability network that answers many of the issues inherent in the space today. It will enable a safer and properly decentralized cross-chain future. Nothing else we are aware of comes anywhere close. With Flare's open protocols, developers are given the tools to build an extensive array of interoperability solutions. Flare is building 3 core interoperability products. So we have the F-Assets, which is providing non-smart contract tokens. BTC, XRP, LTC, Doge, XLM, with smart contract functionality on Flare. Now the F-Asset system is going to allow for 2 types of participants. Now they can be the same or they can be different. You will be able to mint FXRP onto Flare with just XRP. You will be able to then earn FLR. You will also be able to use your FLR to self-mint. And you'll also be able to be an agent. We're still waiting for further details on this, but all the rewards that are coming out for FLR that we talked about. So being an agent means you can put up FLR, earn the FTSO rewards, plus earn XRP from those who are minting FXRP in fees, and then you'll be able to mint some FXRP. Details are to come. We will be able to test that on Songbird. But this goes into FLR's predominant use case early on, which is going to be as collateral for F-Assets. So every F-Asset that is minted, every dollar worth of value that's minted in FXRP, FBTC, 2.5 times that in FLR value is going to be locked up. So with all those rewards that are coming out from the FTSO, from the distribution, they're going to be utilized for collateral. So this is going to counteract that inflationary pressures, and this is the reason why the early participants are going to be able to be massively rewarded, because once the F-Asset system kicks on, it's going to need FLR as collateral. And that is a core use case. When Flare first started out, back before the snapshot, this was all they were building, was the F-Asset system. Now they've added multiple products after this, and which we're going to go into, which is Layercake. But the F-Asset system can be used by those who don't hold FLR. So the irony here is going to be those who do receive FLR that sell and think that they got their profits in a couple of months. They'll be back minting FXRP. And the irony here will be those that have accumulated the rewards and are able to put up FLR as collateral will be earning the XRP in fees from those who are minting FXRP. So this is why, since day one, since the very beginning, Flare has said you'll be massively rewarded for early participation, because it's the only way to kickstart a network and bootstrap it. Remember, Flare is going to launch with a fully decentralized consensus after observation period. Check 1. A broad global-wide token distribution to millions of accounts, hundreds of exchanges. And third, with a DAO-embedded algorithmic governance where the community will govern the network. And when I say community, the FLR holders. The distribution is up for proposal. 3.9% of the total supply is being airdropped. That's it. If you sell the airdrop and you don't do anything else with it and the proposal passes, you're not getting any more. You have to engage in the network and participate. That has never changed. They've said that since day one, that you're going to have to engage with the network and participate. This is what decentralized networks are. This is what communities are. If you're not intending to do that, then you're not part of the community. So on to the second project here, second product, which is Layercake, which is a safe and genuinely decentralized bridges between smart contract platforms, both to and from Flare and Solana, and also between third-party chains, Ethereum and Solana, secured by Flare. Layercake enables the use of F-Assets on Flare, as well as any chain integrated with Flare via Layercake bridges. So that means all the F-Assets that are minted and all that value that's minted onto Flare, those F-Assets can flow outwards. And the different dApps are going to be able to build truly distributed cross-chain applications, which we have not seen to this day. It'll also come with the state connector, which allows all this to happen for Web 2 to Web 3 interoperability. That means bring in data from the internet and be able to use that in different applications. That opens up an abundance of applications that we have not seen before. So F-Assets, when they're minted on Flare, will earn FLR. Layercake assets when they're minted onto Flare, will earn FLR. There will be bandwidth providers who will manage the Layercake bridging system. Now, anyone is free to act as an agent, act as a bandwidth provider, and act in the relay system, which we're going to talk about next. Not everyone is going to be equipped to be able to be in that role, either at an advanced level, have the knowledge to do it, or the capabilities. But the key is that everything is trustless, decentralized, and open. So there is no, this is only for those entities to do. No, that's not how the things are built on Flare. It's built so that everybody has access. And I know this is going to be something XRP communities now have to get used to, because with all these conspiracy theories out there about retail can't hold XRP, well, you're going to have to get over that, because that's a conspiracy narrative. And we have to start thinking like blockchains are built. They're open, decentralized, and permissionless for a reason. So that's how you have to be focusing and thinking about things, is that these are for you to utilize and access. So this is why early participation will be highly rewarded. Layercake will be coming in Q3, Q4. Everything will be tested on Songbird first, and then rolled out on Flare. So when Flare first launches, after the observation period, there'll be the governance vote. That'll be for the distribution. They'll likely then begin testing on Songbird. The reason why testing likely hasn't begun is because these networks need to be decentralized. Nobody stole anyone's SGB. I keep seeing that in the comments. SGB is a canary network, Songbird. You're never supposed to get that token. It's a bonus. The network, the exchanges that didn't release it did not steal it from you. It's open blockchain. You could see the exchange account. Nothing, they didn't go anywhere. In Japan, the self-regulatory agency of the 12 exchanges just agreed to release Flare, FLR, and SGB together. It's possible that happens with the likes of Coinbase and Bitstamp. Hey, I'm in the same boat. There was some that I had on Bitstamp, not much, but some that I didn't get yet either. Now, do I feel like they stole it? No. When Songbird is fully decentralized, I'm sure then they'll be released. See, Flare, this is why we had the observation period, because the network will be fully decentralized with the validators controlling the network. And we have, I believe, around, as of today, 60 or so. And this is transferring validation power. How are they transferring validation power? Through the reward rate and the vote power. Now, this process is going on with nobody earning rewards, with the foundation transferring it over to the independent FTSOs. It's very rare, and I looked, I could not find any network that actually spun up that was fully decentralized from the get-go. The closest I actually could find was XRP, believe it or not. Looking deeper into it, the Ripple network was launched before XRP was actually distributed, ironically. So, but that's for another video. So every other network, think about it. Proof of stake, you have to get the token out there to all the validators to spin the thing up. And that's we have the VC funding rounds, and then they come in, and then they just dump. We don't have that with Flare. There's no token sale, no public, no private token sale. So the only thing that's coming out is the 3.9%, which is 3.9 billion at the airdrop. After that, it's going to go to a distribution pool. As long as the governance proposal passes, I don't see why it wouldn't. Everyone who's going to vote is going to be FLR holders. And you're not going to be able to front run the vote. It's going to be time stamped in a back date. So you won't know what date, what block it'll be chosen from. It'll be a random block that, hey, if you're on the exchange trying to sell and swings trade, I think that's the biggest risk of all the risks, because you have a guaranteed rewards if you just hold. Now, price volatility and everything could be wild in the beginning. It's irrelevant. It's completely irrelevant unless you're looking to purchase. Not financial advice, but you're wasting your time. If you're looking at the exchanges, I wouldn't go by the price. It means nothing. It's basically just weeding out the people who do not want to participate. And then from there, things will settle down, and none will go to the exchanges then. There will be no monthly airdrops. There's no more 85% claim. It's the initial claim. That's it. If you want the rest, you're going to have to participate. And when I say participate, it's literally opening a wallet and delegating a vote. You don't even have to give custody of your asset. So literally my 7-year-old nephew could do it. So there's no excuse there. Anyone who's done it on Songbird, there's 60% participation rate there already. I would expect it to eventually be higher on Flare because there's no risk. Some exchanges will offer it. And that's the first utility of Flare that we talked about, was being able to earn the FLR from vote power, and then simultaneously being able to use that as collateral. So with all these products come the same thing. You're simultaneously able to use FLR in a DApp in any of these products and delegate to the FTSO to earn rewards. Now with this distribution, you're also going to be able to earn the distribution monthly. So this is like unbelievable amount of rewards, and the reason why earning so much is to build up for it to be used as collateral. It needs to be there. So we need the asset to be there as collateral. And it will also come with governance votes. Now, governance rights and influence in the network, the market hasn't truly been able to figure out how to value that yet, but over time, I guarantee you, it's like an ownership stake in the network. This is a new asset class. It's not a security, it's not a commodity, it's not a currency. It might have components of the other two. There's no aspect of this as a security. But commodity and even currency, I don't think do it justice, because you don't get governance rights over a network with that, and you don't get native yield with that, and you don't get the ability to basically have programmable money and extendable money. And this is a whole new asset class. And when we say asset class, it's a protocol. It's a network. It's not just the token. There's an over-focus on the token and the token price in spec trading. Everything Flare is trying to do is trying to remove that aspect of just spec trading. It'll always be there. There'll always be speculation. But by distributing through the network, you remove that aspect tremendously and have the focus being on those who are going to participate. And those who don't like that obviously don't want to participate, and they don't belong here. Moving on. The relayer, which we don't have too much information about. But here's what we do have. So the relay. This is to safely relay any information, including off-chain data, between any set of chains secured by the state connector. This gives developers total decentralized dApp composability, all secured by Flare. As an example of this system, we'll be setting up a relay of the FTSO prices to Solana. Again, nothing comes close to what we are building with Flare. This is why our strapline has changed to connect everything. So this is the delay, why people haven't got their token airdrop, because they're building something much bigger and a bigger vision, and have taken on more engineers. And the core engineering team, 7 to 8 PhDs. This is being built for a long-term future. Now, we should be grateful, they're able to get the airdrop to be able to participate early. Those who want to sell and want out, or who think they're good enough to swing trade, go for it. Good luck. I'd rather stick with the safe bet, because you're going to be able to earn and participate at very low risk. There's no risk delegating to the FTSO. You could literally hold your assets. Now at launch, you're going to be able to have dApps that will be live. So you will be able to use FLR in those. The F-Asset, the relayer, those will take time to get going. So the initial rollout of these 3 products will be coordinated by FLR for specific chains of key importance. To meet anticipated demand, we will be also launching an incentive program for developers to expand the connectivity of the FLR ecosystem. Bridges and relays based on FLR's defined product model will be built by third parties and certified by FLR. We'll be launching the FLR Foundation Grants Program over the coming months for developers looking to help scale the ecosystem. And this is the other thing. We're going to have other developer teams that come on. So FLR team will have no control over the network. Once the observation period ends, it's all in the community's hands. Songbird will be voted on to be the lower house of governance. You have to understand this. This is very important because I know a lot in the community are not used to just even grasping this concept. You just look at one entity and like to complain on Twitter. There's no more of that. Once observation ends, that's it. It's your network. You either participate or you don't. If you want to complain, you complain to the rest of the community. The community is going to be the ones who are voting. So that's going to weed out those who don't, and it will transfer value into the hands to those who are participating. And they will then have to keep up. So if you want to sell 20%, 10% every month, that's fine, but you're going to lose a share in the network, a little more each month, because 1, others are going to keep earning, and 2, there'll be others who will come into the network. So FLR is not trying to be an Ethereum killer. It's connecting everything, and the utility is phenomenal. I guess is the least I could say out the gate, because you have this ability to earn natively. You don't give up opportunity costs. So, for example, in staking, like in many networks, you have to stake and then you can't use the asset. Yes, there is staking derivatives, but that's a derivative. With FLR, it's WFLR. You literally just wrap it, smart contract, gets the vote power contract on it. You delegate to the FTSO. Every single dApp should offer the ability to either delegate to your own FTSO that you choose or to theirs. If they do not offer it, then they should be offering it soon, because there's no excuse. It's unacceptable if they do not offer the FTSO. It should be the number 1 first priority of every single dApp. So I think it's important that we make sure the dApps know that launch. Now, it's still early days on Songbird, so some haven't yet. But in the future, there's no excuse. There's going to be hundreds of dApps. Some are going to be just on FLR. Some are going to be cross-chain dApps. Like Pendulum is going to be a cross-chain multi-dex. That's a very different type of project than something like of what BlazeDex and Oracle Swap are doing. They're more just focused on FLR. That's fine. I think the more dexes, the better. And they're all going to be composable with each other. This is not a competition when it comes to applications building on FLR. They are meant to go together, and composability is the key. So FLR's core products. Now, let's just touch on Spark-dependent applications. This is one of the unique feature sets that FLR built into the Flarenetwork, and it's called now the FLR token. We're not going to be using Spark anymore. I know it's defined in this white paper. It says Spark everywhere. This is from nearly 2 years ago, but it still applies. One thing that's unique about the Spark-dependent applications is the F-Asset system is an example of a Spark-dependent application. Why is this uniquely different than everything else that's out there? Because it doesn't have trade-offs. So unlike proof-of-stake tokens that are layer 1, you have to either choose between staking the asset in the network or utilizing the asset. And then there's governance too. FLR can do all 3 simultaneously. That is what is being airdropped to you. You could simultaneously use FLR as collateral to mint FXRP, earn XRP. Delegate to these FTSO signal providers to earn FLR and participate in governance voting. That's a lot of things going on. Now, for example, you could even take that yield that you earn from the FTSO and crowdfund a project with that. So there are so many different streams of how you could use FLR token in multiple ways. It's basically, we talk about programmable money. This is extendable money because it comes with governance rights, which is going to be a big deal because that's what is going to decide the distribution. So your vote power is the amount of tokens that you have, but you don't have to have actual possession of those tokens. They could be in a smart contract, like a collateral for the F-Asset system. And the FLR tokens have the ability to earn you XRP. Find me another token that is able to earn XRP and BTC. Doesn't exist. So that's what the ability is. When you're minting F-Assets, you could collateralize your own asset, or you could go through an agent. If you go through an agent, you pay fees in the native asset you're minting. Now, if you put in FLR's collateral, and we don't have the full details of this, but as you'll see in the video, I'm going to play from Hugo, FLR will be able to earn you XRP if you're securing FXRP, meaning you're minting it yourself. So all these rewards that come out for the distribution from the FTSO, it could be used to earn XRP. Let me just repeat that. The FLR you are receiving is the ability to earn XRP. And what's ironic is a lot of people who end up selling in the beginning will end up being users of the network and be minting FXRP months down the road, and they'll be paying you in fees with XRP from the FLR that you have accumulated from rewards. So I think there's some irony in that will come along in the future. But this ability to be able to utilize FLR without sacrificing the opportunity cost. So all dApps will be able to integrate the same capabilities. So you won't have to choose between utilizing your token in a DeFi dApp or delegating to the FTSO. It's both. That is like the most important thing to understand about FLR. Now, it's very early days, and certain dApps, take some time to integrate. For example, so on Songbird, you'll start to see that, but every dApp should have the integration capabilities to always be able to delegate, either through them, or they technically have the ability to let you delegate to any FTSO. Now, it's up to different dApps on how they do that. Now, Flare has 3 core products on top of their 2 protocols they built in. The 2 key protocols or Oracle systems are the Flare time series Oracle and the state connector. Those are protocols. They're like part of the layer 1 blockchain. Right? Time series Oracle brings in probabilistic data, which is the price feeds for the F-Assets. That's the first use case for it. There'll be many others. Any application can use these price feeds and integrate them right into the app. So they can bring in a chain link or outside source, but these are right there on the network for the dApp to use. Then you have a state connector, which is the breakthrough technology that they've spent so much time building, and it has to do with, everyone complaining about the delays. Well, this is going to open up a whole new set of dApps and capabilities because it could connect Web3 to Web3. So it could pull data from something that's happening on, say, Avalanche on a dApp that's on Flare and connect cross-chain. So this is used in the F-Asset system initially, and then we'll start to see dApps that are built on Flare connect to multiple, literally every blockchain, and it will happen fairly rapidly. Those are the 2 core protocols. Now, what are the products that they're building? And this is just to start, and this is just what the Flare team's building. Now, there'll be other teams of dApps and developers. The F-Asset is governed by the FLR holders. So if you are holding FLR, you govern the parameters of the FS system. You want to raise collateralization, lower it, it's governed by the community. That's important. So a lot of big DeFi dApps, like for example, on Aave and Compound, the Ethereum network has no say over whatever they do. And if they bring inherent risk to the whole network, there's no say. It's only who's on that dApp. They have their own governance. So the community needs to decide if there's certain dApps that are systemically important, they come under the umbrella of the whole network's governance. And this is key. This is novel. Ethereum doesn't even have a governance. Like, there's literally no governance. Same with Bitcoin. There's no governance built into it. Flare not only has governance built into it like a DAO, but it's built into on-chain. Most DAOs on Ethereum can't do on-chain governance because the gas fees are too high, and they have to do it all off-chain. It's literally built into the contracts of Flare. So Flare team has no control over community votes or anything. They can put proposals up, but it's up to the community to always vote those in. And nobody has a majority of the tokens to ever be able to just completely push the votes through. Now, being able to use your asset, Flare, FLR, as collateral to mint F-Assets, which then earn FLR2, this is the reason, there's a reason why there's so much ability to earn FLR. And I could see how some people could say, well, there's just so much FLR coming out in rewards. What's the point of all this? It seems like it's going to kill the price. Now, the point is the use of the asset then on the network. The utility is going to be there right from the beginning. There's no process of decentralization. There's no process of this, utility getting out there. It's taken 5 years to build things. It's all there ready to go. Now, the products will take time. So the F-Asset system will launch in, will be the first one. That's going to allow for TVL to build up. Every time somebody mints FXRP or FVTC or anything, or any entity does it, say a Nexo or a KuCoin, whoever it is, whatever CeFi might do it behind the scenes, it locks up 250% in FLR value. So if you minted $100 of FXRP, it causes $250 of FLR to get locked up. So that's where it creates this shrinking of the supply, pulling off the market, and that's why you can reward. So that's the magic in that. And now the agents are there to earn fees in outside currencies. And that's the goal of these systems, these layer ones, is to earn fees in other assets, just like a nation does. As you saw in that video, the internal economy and an external economy. Now, there are other two products. They're going to take a little longer to build, but this is what the Flare team is building. And it's Layercake, which is a bridging, but it's more of an insurance protocol. And that uses FLR as collateral. And we don't have the full details yet of how exactly the bandwidth providers are going to use that, but it uses FLR as collateral, and it's an insurance protocol that there's no such thing out there as a blockchain that's trying to remove a risk from the users who are bridging across these blockchain bridges. That's what Flare is trying to do. And that's where FLR will come in, because these assets will be brought to Flare. Flare could be used as collateral again. And then there's the relayer, which is just another, these are just three first products. They're a little specifically designed to use FLR in ways that lock up FLR. Like, you could see that in the way they're designed. There'll be just random dApps out there that could use all the F-Assets and FLR. But these are specifically designed to kind of use FLR. Is the relayer. People will stake with the relayer to deliver price feeds across to other blockchain networks, and in turn earn external currencies. So if they deliver price feeds to Ethereum or a dApp, it's mostly will be abstracted, most likely, and it will just earn fees in external currencies. Same with the Layercake bridges. They're earning fees from people moving across the bridges. And this is a powerful thing, because this will bring on, even though everybody is able to act as an agent, act as a bandwidth provider, act in the relay. Certain entities will be better equipped to do that. So at first, it's possible that maybe, hey, you're not going to be able to act as a bandwidth provider yourself, but I could see very easily in the future there'll be a protocol that will do it and set every retail up to be able to do it, or a DAO that will do it. Same goes to the agent, same goes to all these things. They'll start out with, okay, maybe only these entities who could handle this infrastructure could do it. But as the network develops and more things are built on, it's purposely designed, all the products, so you don't have to be regulated entities, you don't have to be this, they're all trustless. And when you build decentralized trustless into the core of the protocol, it opens up greater possibilities. It's just some entities will be better equipped to do it in the beginning. But you, minting FXRP, the more FLR you build up from the distribution, from the twice a week FTSO delegations, is going to allow you to have more opportunity to earn outside currencies. And I know a lot of people could say, oh, well, I've been building up XRP for 3 years. I don't need any more XRP. You might not, but somebody else might want to earn Bitcoin. And that's going to drive people into the network. So the XRP community will start out as the foundation. And that's great. But it's not going to be the only, Flare's here to connect to everything. It's going to bring communities together. So we got to get over this mindset. It's going to bring Ethereum together. And then they have a bigger vision. But there'll be a whole load of different DeFi dApps that will use FLR. So FLR is the governance. And remember, everything could be checkpointed. So if a dApp's going to do an airdrop that wants to distribute out, they're not going to just say, hey, in 2 weeks we're doing an airdrop. If you have FLR. No. Those days are over. It's if you're delegating to the FTSO and your vote power on that day that happened 2 weeks ago will be checkpointed. So nobody could front run it and game the system, and it's more fair to everybody. And I think that's important. And it could also be cloning, basically clone the version of the FLR token and have their own dApp token because it will need governance for its own application. All these DeFi dApps, they have to be decentralized. And if they're not, it has to come through their own governance. If they're systemically important, like for example, what would be another example of something systemically important? Something that uses like a collateralized stablecoin or something like that is possibly could become under the F-Asset, under the governance of FLR community. Because if it's systemically risky to the whole system, I'm not sure about Layercake and the Relayer. Those they're not systemically important to necessarily Flarenetwork. They're more of external because they're connecting. And the state connector is what allows all this to happen. It's the eye in the sky that could say they provided the right price feeds or the wrong price feeds. Like there's a yes or no answer. There's no debate. So that's why you would put up your FLR. And then there's one other use case that's very powerful. And I'm going to play the video for you right after this. And it's crowdfunding. And we know there's been waves of ICOs. There's been waves of airdrops. But funding the ecosystem with the ecosystem's own users and rewards without risking their capital is super powerful. Like that's the ultimate way. And if this society is ever going to get out of debt, the only way we're going to do it is through growth and capital formation. So this is, yes, on a much lower scale, but the concept's the same. Capital formation, you're using your yield that you would earn from the FTSO, from the F-Assets, and even the Layercake assets are going to earn if they're on Flare to then fund a project that will then give you dApp tokens to start out. That keeps the value in the ecosystem. This is the exact opposite of somebody putting value and receiving it on an exchange every month and just selling it. That's a negative externality, and it harms the network. That's going to be removed from the picture, and instead, those people that earn this yield, yeah, they might take it and sell as they get it, but they're going to more likely sell it into DEXs and liquidity pools on the network. And as demand comes on, it will absorb that, but it's on the network. The activity should happen on the network. These exchanges are all going to evolve into something that needs to connect to the blockchains. They're siloed legacy technology. Their order books are, non-transparent. You have no idea what assets they hold. You have no idea what order books. You have nothing. You can't see anything. On the blockchain, everything's visible. That's why DeFi is going to explode. It's already proven itself, but now it's going through that maturation period where those scammy projects or high yield things are all getting flushed out, and the real projects will come in, and then we'll get the institutional wave, and there'll be, all that needs to happen is really KYC and digital identity, which the technology is there for, the standards are there for, self-sovereign identity. It just needs to be pushed in. Once that happens, you'll see an explosion like you've never seen before. But this is the new financial system being built right in front of you. I don't believe it's going to come from Bretton Woods or some meeting with the IMF. I think it's just going to come from innovation, and it's going to keep developing and developing, because you cannot quantify certain types of new value, social value, other types of value in currencies from sovereign nations anymore. Like, that's why I think CBDCs will be a thing, but they're just inherently not going to be able to do certain things in Web3 that other types of tokens do, like an access token, or all these different types of fractionally dividing real estate and tokenizing that. That's happening in Singapore, happening in Switzerland, it's happening in Japan. Doesn't look too great here in the US, I know, but it's taking place. And the on-chain development as these networks get connected. So we have big multi-chains. ETH 2.0 is going to be a big multi-chain. The one good thing is it's taken so long to do that it's not going to just be the dominant thing of all of blockchain. So Flare is not trying to kill Ethereum, and FLR is not really, has a totally different economic model than ETH. ETH is trying to be the next Bitcoin, but with yield and deflationary, and just charge the users a lot. Where FLR is trying to do multiple things in its utility. It's designed, in my opinion, much better. They're totally different components here. ETH's going to go all to layer 2. Flare is going more cross-chain, and they could build multiple Flarenetworks here, all using the same FLR token. So you have a constellation of FLRs. SGB plays a role in this too, as it's going to be the lower house of governance, and it's going to filter basically the governance proposals, so nobody could just come in and say, oh, I'm going to buy a bunch of FLR and I'm going to try and push my governance proposal through. No. You got to get through Songbird first, and then it's like the House and the Senate. We have 2 bicameral governances. This is super important. Those people that just, want their airdrop and gone, then that's fine. But this is going to go on much further. So the FLR token that's being airdropped is like a gift it's not just like a layer 1 token, like, oh, we got a smart contract EVM. That would have been great, but this is something so much more because it has vote power contracts built into it. That's the magic, is that once you wrap it, it has this ability to be delegated. Vote power and governance, and then still use it. Now, not to pick on, they're working with Algorand, right? Algorand is like one of Flare's partners. They're building a Bitcoin bridge for them. But let's just show an example of another layer 1 token, which you could still custody and stake. But what you cannot do is utilize the token once you're staked. You lose that opportunity cost. And every single asset on almost every L1 loses that. Now, yes, they make liquid derivatives, but that's a derivative. FLR is FLR. WFLR is FLR. That's the real thing. And it has these delegatable votes. They're contracts that are built into the design of the system. And they're enhanced based off of previous designs. And that makes it very powerful because you have governance. So you have, in a way, an ownership stake in the network. These are totally different asset classes. So that's why they're not securities, they're not commodities, not currencies. You have governance rights to that protocol. Nobody controls that protocol. the community governs it. Somebody's got to govern it. So the idea that, oh, decentralized means that nobody's in control, that's nonsense. There's always got to be some kind of direction for the network, or it's never going to succeed. Look at Bitcoin. How many forks? Look at Ethereum. When they got upgraded, they got a hard fork every time. Hard fork every time. We don't have to do that on Flare. It's built in, and it has a structure, because we don't know what the future is going to hold in 5 years. And it's got these rewards pools. So FLR is set into a 20 billion rewards pool. The distribution will be a pool after the governance proposal. And then we have the inflation. That's also considered a pool. Now these could crisscross over with each other and share. So the inflation could get divvied up and put into one pool, create another reward service. So governance can create reward services for different things that come along in the future. And this is the idea of setting things up. And this is all based on, this is not just like made up out of nowhere. This is based on CryptoEconomics, the study of how we use digital incentivization to drive specific resources and behaviors among self-interested agents on decentralized networks, thereby inherently delivering security and accelerating network effects. It's exactly what Flare is doing with the design of the FTSO. You're inherently incentivized to provide honest data to be rewarded. So instead of putting up stake and getting slashed for bad behavior, you're being honest. This solves the Oracle problem. That's the one thing that Flare FTSO does. And also for the distribution. Should you receive that distribution? So here's a perfect example. There's 3 states to a cryptoeconomic protocol. An agent commits to the fulfillment of a specification. So what would that be? Your claim. When you did the snapshot and you got the claim, you committed to the fulfillment of that specification. Now, you have a choice. The agent executes an action that either evaluates to a true or false. So governance decides, well, if you want the remaining amount of this, you're going to have to fulfill and execute this action. What is that action? Participating in the network. If you're not going to participate, you're going to harm the network. And 3, the protocol is concluded by rewarding, meaning they receive the distribution every month, or punishing the agent for its actions. Now, it's not necessarily punishing it, but you just get nothing because you don't deserve anything because you're going to harm the network if you receive something. That's the community who's deciding that. And this is, this isn't, taco stands and stimulus checks. This is a decentralized network, and it's governed by the community and cryptoeconomic protocols. These things are built into the code. I think it just seems to be difficult for some people to quantify or understand that there's not an authority forcing this on them, because that's all you've known your whole life. And it's nobody's fault, but that's how it's always been. But it's different now. The rules are built into the code, literally into the code. So that's the governance. It's built into the smart contracts. It executes. Either you are delegating to the FTSO provider, or you just have to wrap your token, really. You just have to have it basically holding it. Why wouldn't you delegate to the FTSO and earn more is, your choice, but you're not going to be able to have it on exchanges for sale, for selling at that date. And it will be a random snapshot during the week, during the month, that will decide what your vote power was. Now, if you had it on exchange for a sell order, you're not getting any that month then. So if you held your initial airdrop and you sold everything else every month, you'll end up with a considerably amount more than that initial distribution. Why? Because the majority of people are not going to participate. So there's going to be more to go around for everybody else. And we don't know the full details, but that's already been stated. Now here, this diagram is almost like a perfect example of exactly what took place here. The claim you committed to, the desired action. Did you delegate and hold your airdrop to participate? If you didn't, then you don't get any. That's the undesired outcome. The people who don't want to do that, then they don't receive any. It's very simple. This is just cryptoeconomic protocols and its basic mechanism design. It's the reverse of game theory, where we want an outcome and it's built into the system. It is the most fair way to do things in the history. Instead of letting humans decide, we just tame the algorithm, basically, the governance. But the rules are inherently baked in. There's no enforcer of them. There's no authority. Like, this is what you're involved in. You're involved in blockchain and decentralized open source networks. I think we forget that. I think some people forget that sometimes. What you're involved in, you know. So this is what you're involved in. If you don't want to do that, then you're not going to get free things. And here's another perfect example. The rational agent needs to decide, which most people are considered rational, decide which action to perform at the highest layer. We see that the highest layer, the agent has either the choice to perform the desired action, which results in utility for the network, which would be delegating votes. That helps the network to decentralize the data, and it also, supports the value of FLR2 by people holding and not just selling that every month on selling initially. But it's more about the utility of the actual network. Or an undesired action, which is the equivalent to a utility, and it's a formula of a negative. That's what the negative utility would be, is if somebody took that and sold. So you have a choice. These are protocols, and they're built into the rules. This is not some enforcement from Flare. I heard all the craziest types of things you could imagine, and they're all wrong, and it's just mind-boggling how it's just very simple. CryptoEconomic protocols built into the code. It's not any magic or sneak attacks or anything like that. I mean, I don't even want to go into some of the things that were assumed. So that is CryptoEconomic protocols.
And so I just want to show the crowdfunding concept. Something that's been extremely valuable on Cardano for bootstrapping the ecosystem and getting projects building on the ecosystem, and something we want to also implement on Flare. Now on Cardano, they can only do it with the Cardano asset, ADA. On Flare, we can do it with all of the F-assets, with Flare itself, and with assets coming through Layercake onto Flare. And I'll explain why we can do that in a second. But the general idea of what Cardano calls ISPOs, initial staking product offerings, I think. I could be wrong on the P. But is that you take your asset, whether it's FBTC, FXRP, FLR, or Ethereum perhaps, and you stake it into a crowdfunding contract. And that your capital is protected. The contract never takes your capital out of the contract. But the yield that those assets earn is passed to a project. You've chosen that project through choosing that crowdfunding contract. So the yield is passed to the project, and the project gives you something in return, perhaps project tokens, perhaps even a product in the real world, perhaps an NFT, who knows? The idea is that you stake your capital with no loss of your capital, and your yield is passed over to fund the Flare ecosystem and the projects on it. You stake your capital with no loss of your capital, and your yield is passed over to fund the Flare ecosystem and the projects on it. And the reason we can do this is because the foundation set aside 20 billion tokens in order to create an incentive pool for creating F-assets and Layercake assets. And then additionally, Flare earns the delegation reward. And so all of those earnings, whether the Flare delegation reward or the F-asset minting reward or the Layercake reward, all of that yield can be used to fund projects building on Flare delegation reward or the F-asset minting reward or the Layercake reward. All of that yield can be used to fund projects building on Flare. And we think that this is a really nice low risk way to put your capital to work